Listen, all of us right here, we're building massive
Of
assets.
course.
And these assets are taking us at least 10 years to build.
At minimum, yeah.
And let's say, for example, God forbid you got married, for example.
God forbid you got married.
No. Sorry. Let me rewind that. We're back again. Obviously, it's your boy, Mr. CV. I'm back again with another special topic. Quite a topic that I've been thinking about. And I was watching something, is an American basketballer actually. What happened was, obviously, because him being a basketballer, he's already got a lot of, in terms of money, wealth, fame. Before he got married to this woman, he said to the woman that she had to sign a prenup. And the woman said, yeah, that's fine, no problem. I'll sign a prenup, no problem. But then on the day of the wedding, after the pastor did his own little speech, the guy's like, yo, sign the prenup. And then the woman's like, nah. And then the guy just said, you know what, the wedding is over. So I really wanted to discuss that part, because as we're growing older, obviously we're all growing and gaining asset in terms of house, cars and everything. And for me, the worst part for me is after gaining all this asset, you've not signed a prenup and you just lose everything. Because I know a lot of people, they're scared to sign prenups because they feel like there's a lack of trust. First of all, what's your man's take on prenup?
What's kind of crazy is, even to hear the word prenup, as you said, this guy's a basketball player, he's probably a millionaire. But I only tend to hear these words thrown around.
Discussing money and stuff.
Discussing people with mega, what you're talking multi-millionaires. I don't think that means that it's only relevant to them. So when you think about it, okay, if Jeff Bezos, who is, you know, the CEO, I don't know if he stepped down recently, and he's, you know, divorce court, half of the worth of Amazon has gone to his wife and half is his. We tend to hear it spoken about with millionaires and billionaires, but the facts are, if you take half of a billionaire's wealth, he's still good for life. But if you take half of an average man's wealth, he may be in massive trouble.
It's not even, he's finished.
This guy's
He's finished. Listen, he's finished. And to avoid being finished, that's why I said myself, let me quickly discuss this topic, so that at least I will know where. What's happening is, obviously, where we're from as Africans, we try not to think about negative parts too much. We always try and look at the positive parts of life, and it's fine. But we need to be realistic that things happen. And when these things happen, most of the time we're not prepared for it, because we always believe that it won't happen to us, but things happen.
I think with the prenup, you know, you need to consider what she's coming into the situation expecting almost. For example, is she coming into the situation saying, look, you know what, you go work, I'll raise the kids and do that. And if things go bad, then you have to, you know, give her something.
It would make sense. You actually want it.
Because she's put her, you know, professional life on hold, so she can raise your kids and build your home. So in that case, she's owed something.
Okay, but in
the case where you're both two working professionals and she's not put her work aside, and I think, like, you know, you leave with what you brought to the table. So it depends on what your wife decides she wants to do with her life post-marriage.
I'd say, because divorce has become so prevalent, especially in our part of the world, especially in our little section of, you know, diasporic Africans, it seems to be so high. Marriage is a very high-risk proposition for a man today, you know, especially for the average man. The vast majority of guys are not millionaires. If you lose half of your stuff, you're in big trouble. When you look at depression in middle-aged men and things like this, a lot of it is to do with relationship, marriage breakdown, kids being taken away. These kind of things affect a man's life. Not to say that, you know, it's all women's fault or something like that. Not at all. When separations happen, it can hit men very, very hard, and it's not really spoken about too much. In a nutshell, I wouldn't say to a man, get a prenup, because you're almost telling him, right, in case you get divorced, say that in front of his wife,
no,
see what she feels.
That's what I'm saying, because like I said as well, we don't like to think that way.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people don't. I know guys have spent 40k on wedding. Let me even say one thing. This was a guy that we went uni with. He had a wedding, and obviously the guy only just came to the country like 1 year ago. within a year, he's getting married.
Yeah,
And then what's gonna happen was this year. I didn't know that this guy, all the suits, watches, he's bought them, but he's kept the receipt, so that after the wedding, he will go out and return it. So he now gave me one like a suit to wear, and I'm thinking, this suit looks nice on me. So the mistake I've done is, the first thing I've done, you know what I've done? I've ripped the label. Not knowing that, because I wasn't aware that this guy is looking to keep the label to go and return it to. So as soon as he's giving me the jacket, I've just got excited, like, oh yeah, rip the. I see my man getting vexed. And I'm thinking, yo, it's your wedding day. What is that guy getting vexed for? What are you getting vexed for? Not knowing that my man's plan is, after all this wedding finishes,
it's gonna take it back.
It's gonna take it back. Man's got Rolex.
Bro,
I'm thinking, whoa, because even in my mind, I'm thinking, how on earth is this guy able to afford this thing? You understand what I'm saying? But at least if you just called me in the corner and said, listen, this is the plan in it, at least I would have been more careful. You know what I mean? No one wants to think about that negative part of it, because we always want to remove that negative aspect. But is it something we need to start changing as African society, in terms of how we look at these things, in terms of actually looking at the realistic part of it? Because obviously we don't want these things to happen, but we know it happens. So how do we protect ourselves? Do we start changing our mentality towards prenup?
I think we should change the mentality to it, especially if it's something that could protect a man financially, because you have to protect the man financially. If you don't protect the man's finances, there won't be anything to give to the woman anyway. I mean, it's in the woman's interest to protect the man financially by signing a prenuptial agreement. If you protect him, you sustain your children.
For me, I think the hardest part is explaining it to your wife. I think if you're married already at this current stage, I won't lie to you, trying to get your wife to sign a prenup is a myth.
Can you do it during the marriage as well?
You probably can, but obviously with that, I don't know the legalities of that, but you probably can. You don't have to sign a prenup after this conversation, but obviously just something to have a think about. How do you sit down with your partner and explain that? Let's sign a prenup. Because I think that's the hardest part.
I think
it's something you bring up when you're dating. Your stance on prenups and prenuptial agreements, make it clear your stance, then I don't think there should be any problems when the reality sets in and it's time for that agreement.
I don't know,
it's uncomfortable, but
it's uncomfortable because it's that lack of trust part. How do you clear that?
That sounds a lot more dependent on feeling. If we romanticize a union like marriage, something that is extremely serious in terms of the impact it can have on someone's life, your marriage will affect everything in your life.
First of all, the fact that she doesn't want to sign it, you can say, wait, why don't you want to sign it? It's like, are you planning on breaking up and taking half of my wealth?
That's what
like, look, if you have no plan on breaking up, because there are clauses.
You know what? That's
the clauses. There's like infidelity clauses. You know, if you cheat on me, then the prenup is invalid. There's clauses, so you have to be somewhat wary of a woman who doesn't want to sign one, because it's like, why?
What I've heard before is a case where a woman became miserable in her marriage. She's gone off to have an affair with another man. It's been found out. It's been brought to light. Now there's a divorce going on and she's battling to get half of his wealth. It's like, you cheated on me and now you want my money as well. I really don't think that it should be romanticized. You should talk about it as two financial entities. Earlier on we were talking about who's liberal versus traditional in the sense of how a family is going to be structured. If a more traditional guy is saying that he's going to structure his family in a way where he takes care of everything.
Yeah.
Bills, mortgage, rent, whatever it may be. And then unfortunately the worst happens and there's a separation. You shouldn't be even looking at the property. The woman shouldn't even be looking at the. If you haven't funded the property, in a situation where she has nowhere to go, she doesn't own a property. This is probably where the prenup conversation kind of came from. I mean, at one point didn't have anything. They couldn't go out and work and do this and that. After a divorce, she's pretty much a homeless woman with children, which the state refused to take. I used to get